Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I should have seen it coming, not because of some big argument or a dramatic shift. No, it was the small things, the kind of things you notice only when you're paying attention. The long pauses before she answered my questions, the way her phone never left her hand anymore, the silence at dinner, where once there had been mindless chatter about coworkers and weekend plans. I remember the night it really hit me. We were sitting on the couch. I was telling her about a busted pipe at work and how the building manager had nearly fainted from the flood. She smiled, but it didn't touch her eyes. That's when I knew she wasn't in the room with me anymore. Not really. We'd been married for 6 years. Betty and I had built a life, modest but steady. No fireworks, sure, but no fires either. I thought that meant we were solid. I was wrong. It was a Thursday night when she finally said it. I was standing in the bedroom, sorting through the mail on the dresser. Bills, mostly. Routine stuff. She walked in, stood in the doorway for a few seconds, then said, "We need to talk." I didn't sit down, just looked at her and waited. "I've been seeing someone," she said, eyes on the floor. I didn't mean for it to happen. I nodded once, slow. "Who?" She hesitated. "It's Alan." That name punched a hole straight through my memory. Alan, her old coworker, the guy who always commented on her Instagram posts with inside jokes, the one she swore was just funny and totally harmless. I kept my voice steady. "How long?" "About 2 months." She looked up. "We haven't slept together." "But you plan to." She didn't answer, and that was enough. I sat down on the edge of the bed, hands resting on my knees. I didn't feel angry. Not yet. Just cold, like a switch flipped somewhere inside, and everything slowed down to a crawl. She took a step closer. "I don't want a divorce, Roger. I'm confused. I care about you. I really do." I stared at her. "You're standing in front of me, telling me you care, while thinking about another man." "I didn't expect this to happen," she said, her voice tightening. He listens. He makes me feel seen." I didn't speak for a long moment, just stared past her, letting the silence settle. "So, what do you want?" I finally asked. She exhaled. "Time. I need space to figure out what this means. For me. For us." I stood up. "You're asking for permission to test drive someone else while keeping me in the garage." "That's not what I—" "It's exactly what you're doing," I said quietly. She didn't argue, just stood there like a guilty child caught mid-lie. I walked out of the room. Not a word. Not because I didn't have something to say, but because I already knew she'd just given me all the answers I needed. She moved out the next morning, not with boxes or a moving truck, just one overnight bag and her favorite coat, the green one with the belt she always double-knotted. She didn't say where she was going, but I didn't need to ask. I knew it was Alan. She paused in the doorway before leaving. I was at the dining table drinking coffee, not looking at her. "I don't know how long I'll be gone," she said. "This isn't goodbye. It's just time apart." I didn't respond. She stood there for a second longer, like she expected a scene. Maybe tears, maybe begging. But all I gave her was the sound of the spoon clinking inside my mug. Then she walked out. I waited until I heard her car pull away before I stood up. The silence that followed didn't feel like peace. It felt like an echo, like the walls were adjusting to her absence in real time. I didn't call anyone, didn't text friends or post cryptic quotes online. I just started cleaning. The hallway mirror she insisted we hang, I took it down. Her aloe plant in the bathroom, tossed. I wasn't angry. I just wanted space that didn't remind me of her. By noon, I was at my desk opening a blank document titled Separation Planning. Not revenge, just preparation. That night, she sent a message. "Hope your day was okay. I'll check in tomorrow." I stared at it for a minute, then typed, "Take your time." That was it. No questions. No, "I miss you." No asking who she was with or what she was doing. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't a pause. She wanted to see if Alan could make her feel something I didn't. What she didn't know was that I wasn't going to wait around while she figured it out. She thought she had options, but she was already running out of time. The second week was when things got interesting. Betty started texting more, not daily check-ins anymore, full paragraphs. Just wanted to say I've been thinking about us a lot. It's strange being away. Alan's not what I expected. I miss talking to you. I read that one twice. I didn't reply right away. I waited until the next morning and answered with, I'm doing all right. Hope you're well. Short, neutral, measured. It rattled her. The messages started shifting. Less confident, more fragile. She started asking how I was sleeping, if the house felt different, if I'd changed anything. She even asked if I'd thought about therapy. Not for her, for us. It was like watching someone realize the lifeboat they jumped into was leaking. I started getting my paperwork in order. One of my coworkers, James, had gone through something similar last year. Quiet guy, sharp, told me he knew someone, a lawyer who handled things clean, quiet, no mess. Said hiring her was the smartest move he made. I took his word for it. I emailed Vanessa that night. By the next afternoon, I had a consultation booked. Betty didn't know. She was still treating this like a long commercial break, like she'd come back and we'd just reboot. She called me late one night from an unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer. Her voice was soft, careful. Hey, it's me. Yeah, I figured. Just wanted to hear your voice. I didn't say anything. Alan and I aren't... She hesitated. It's not what I thought. He's still the same guy from before. Gets moody. Doesn't listen much. It's like I ran back into a memory and realized it wasn't real. Still, I didn't give her the relief she was fishing for. Well, I said, sometimes the past stays buried for a reason. She went quiet. I let the silence stretch. Do you think we could talk? In person? She finally asked. Maybe, I said, when the time's right. I hung up, because I wasn't done building yet. 3 weeks after she left, I was in Vanessa's office signing paperwork. She was professional, direct, no frills. She'd gone through the prenup, drafted a clean exit plan, and laid out every step like clockwork. No room for drama, no long back and forth, just a clear, quiet cut. After that, I went straight to the bank, opened a new account, shifted my paycheck, adjusted the bills that were still in both our names. Quiet moves, surgical. Meanwhile, Betty was spiraling. Her texts turned nostalgic. Remember that lake trip? When we got caught in the storm and stayed in that diner all night? I keep thinking about that. Another read. I've been journaling, trying to figure out what I really want. I think I made a mistake. Alan isn't... He's not you. And then the one that told me the panic had finally set in. Can we talk? I'd like to come by. No pressure. Just talk. Please. I gave her a day and responded. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Just a conversation. She showed up at 9:57. Same coat, different eyes, tired, defensive, hopeful. When she stepped inside, she looked around like she didn't recognize the place. I'd moved the furniture, painted the walls a shade lighter, even changed the lighting in the kitchen. You repainted, she said. Yeah. It looks different. Feels different. We sat across from each other. No wine, no hugs, just silence and space. She started talking, softly, rehearsed. I thought I needed to see what else was out there, but Alan wasn't it. He's still selfish, still thinks the world owes him something. I see that now. I listened, calm, steady. Then I stood up, went to the drawer, and came back with the folder. What's this? She asked. I slid it toward her. Clarity, in writing. She opened it. Divorce papers. Her hands shook a little. You're serious? I was serious the day you left, I said. You just didn't believe me. She stared at the papers like they were written in a language she didn't understand. You don't have to do this, Betty said. We can work on it. I'm ready now. I get it. I didn't flinch. I'm not angry, Betty, but I'm not rebuilding something you walked away from. That's not how this works. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing the edge of the folder. I was lost. I made a stupid decision. I thought Alan could help me figure things out, but he just reminded me of why I left him the first time. That was the first time she said it out loud. Left him. Alan wasn't just some coworker. He was an ex, and she'd gone back to him like he was some unsolved mystery. Funny thing, she never told me that part. Not once in 6 years. Just called him a coworker. Just Alan from the office. I guess it was easier that way. I leaned back. So you went back to your ex? And while you were chasing that realization, I was here, wondering what the hell happened. I panicked, she said. I didn't know how to talk to you. You're so calm all the time, Roger. I didn't think you'd fight for us. That's the thing, I said. You took my silence as weakness, but it wasn't. It was patience, strategy. I wanted to see exactly who you were when you thought I wasn't watching. Her face tightened. So, this whole time, you've been planning to leave me? I've been planning to survive you. She didn't cry, but her voice cracked. Can we at least talk about counseling? One session. We owe it to everything we built. I stood up. You owed that before you left. She looked up at me, wide-eyed. You're really doing this? I already did. You just didn't see it. She sat there a while like she didn't know how to move. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and waited. She finally rose, clutching the folder to her chest like it might warm her. I guess this is it, she said. I nodded. For me, it was 3 weeks ago. This is just the paperwork. She stepped outside without looking back. No hug, no tears, just quiet footsteps on the pavement and the hollow sound of a car door closing. That was the last time Betty walked into my house. But it wouldn't be the last time I thought about how easily she walked out of it. It's been 2 months since she signed. No appeals, no late-night confessions, just a scanned copy from her lawyer, and silence. The house doesn't feel like a memory anymore. It feels like mine. I swapped out the bedspread, donated her reading chair to Goodwill, got rid of that old print she loved, the one of the city skyline she said reminded her of possibility. I always thought it looked like smog. I didn't announce anything, didn't change my relationship status or post about growth online. I just moved on, quietly, intentionally. Betty hasn't reached out since, not even a stray text. But she watches my stories sometimes. I see her name in the views. That's enough. I don't need her apology. I don't need her closure. The thing people don't talk about is how good it feels when you finally stop waiting to be chosen. When you choose yourself, and that's enough. I took a trip 2 weekends ago. Just drove north. No plan, no reservations. Found a small town with a quiet coffee shop and a bookstore next to it. Sat for hours. Read. Wrote a little. A woman named Clara struck up a conversation. She complimented the book I was reading. We talked about second chances and how people think healing is loud when it's actually pretty damn quiet. We exchanged phone numbers. Nothing heavy, no pressure, just a nice, honest moment. Driving home, I realized I hadn't thought about Betty all weekend. Not once. Not what she was doing. Not whether she regretted anything. She'd become background noise in a life that finally felt tuned right. This isn't revenge. It's not about winning. It's about waking up, making your own coffee, and not wondering when the door is going to slam. It's about knowing the version of yourself you rebuilt didn't come with conditions. And that, maybe, is the love story I was meant to write all along. Last Saturday, I ran into her. Whole Foods frozen section. I was reaching for a bag of peas. She was grabbing oat milk. We both froze for a second. She looked smaller. Not physically, just dimmer. Like someone who hadn't slept well in a while. Hey, she said, almost a whisper. Hey! We stood there for a few seconds. Shoppers moved around us like we were statues. You look good, she said finally. Thanks. You too. It wasn't true, but I figured she needed it. There was a silence. Not angry, not bitter, just tired. She glanced at my cart. Cooking for someone? I smiled. Just myself. Betty nodded, like she didn't know what to do with that answer. I keep thinking about that last morning, she said. You were so calm. I thought you'd fall apart. Yell. Fight. I shrugged. That's not how I fight. She laughed, the kind that ends in a sigh. I see that now. A long pause followed. She shifted her weight, like she wanted to say something else, but didn't know how to start. You happy? She finally asked. I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't know. I just wanted the pause to mean something. Yeah, I said. I am. She smiled. Not sad, not bitter, just small. That's good. We didn't hug. Didn't say let's catch up or maybe coffee sometime. We just nodded and walked in opposite directions. Later that night, I made pasta, played some Coltrane on the speaker, sat on the couch with my feet up, eating out of a bowl like a college kid. And I realized something. The version of me she left behind would have clung to that grocery store moment, would have replayed it, picked it apart, imagined alternate endings. But me? I didn't feel the need to do any of that. I just finished dinner, watched a movie, slept like a man who had nothing left to prove. Because the story didn't end in heartbreak. It ended in peace, and that's more than I ever thought I'd get. Thank you for watching.